All right, welcome everyone to the Comic Book ASM Artist for our Q&A Thursday stream. We have a guest with us today. I'm going to give a minute or so for some people to pop in here, but then we'll get started, okay? All right, so we already have Keeman here. He's one of my loyal viewers. So we can go ahead and get started. So with us, we have Konstantinos, and I cannot pronounce your last name. I do apologize. Would you mind pronouncing that for me?
Yeah, of course, no problem. Most people can. It's pronounced
Yeah.
Petroki.
Okay, well, do you mind if I call you Konstantinos, or do you want to go by KP, or what do you want to do for the interview here?
Konstantinos is fine.
Konstantinos? Okay. All right. So this guy right here, he's been working on his own comic book project, and he's been very supportive of the whole comic book, Comicscape movement and everything like that. He has his own book that just came out yesterday. It's called Stilk Metal Tim. And we're going to talk about that for a little bit, and then we'll just do some general stuff as well. I'm seeing my thing on the other end. It says no connection, so that's odd. I don't know. It says we're still live, though. So, yeah, go ahead and talk to us a little bit about what Stilk Metal Tim is, okay?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Basically, Stilk Metal Tim is a 12-issue series. I define it like a science fiction superhero thriller for readers 15 years old, plus. And the story is basically it takes place towards the end of the 21st century in the city of New Glory. That seems to be tormented from a supernatural threat. So there is a secret experiment taking place. It's conducted by two scientific geniuses, Annabelle Darcel and her colleague. And the result is the manifestation of a human being whom Annabelle calls Stilk. And at some point, they both, after while they get familiarized with each other, they meet unexpectedly one of the security guards, who is called Tim Vince, and they get to affiliate, actually to get to know each other as well for a while. And then some things happen, and the team has to acquire like some cybernetic limbs, specifically a cybernetic right hand and a metallic tail. And after a few months, uh, Annabelle, another manifestation actually takes place. And the horde of monstrosities emerges through Annabelle physically, thus killing her. And so 1 year later, we have both Stilk and Metal Team being the leading force against those monsters that have become known as nightmares under the leadership of Edwin's father, General Daryl Best. So as the story progresses, we see both of those protagonists, discovering the range of their abilities to support each other in their personal problems and to stay united as they discover the deeper reasons behind their confluence. We see new allies appearing in the story, unexpected foes, and during the whole story, there is always the possibility of still becoming the primary threat. And, and this story is part of an expanding universe I'm doing with 6 more titles following, and
Nice.
that's basically what the story is about. It is published from Rising Sun Comics, an indie publisher based on Los Angeles.
So all that stuff, does that all take place in the first issue though, or is that stretched out over the 12 issues?
12 issues. This series is 12 issues.
Okay. Yeah. So everything you just said, that's not just in the first issue, right? It expands out from there, right?
No, it's just 28 pages of story. It's a book. I can't fit everything into it.
Okay, it's like if that's just the first one, oh man, that's a whole lot. So, well, does the first issue really just delve on the first bit in there, kind of the setting up with the Stilk and Metal Tim characters, or how much of that do we see come to play in the first issue?
Basically, you get a basic introduction to the
Hmm.
characters, a little of their abilities, the background, not like how the city environment looks like,
Hmm.
and maybe you will get a taste of their enemies as well. And of course, you will see a series of flashback scenes. But
Okay.
yeah.
Very cool. So this whole concept, was this something that you've been kicking around for a long time, or is this something you worked on in the past year or so? Like, what was the initial creation of this like in your head when you were thinking about all of it?
Well, it all started actually from a dream that I had back in 2007. I was
Hmm.
the first grade of high school, and during an afternoon nap, I
Hmm.
was able to do that back then. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't take afternoon naps anymore. Anyway, I had this dream where there is this abstract landscape, and there is this horde of monsters looking up on a cliff, calling, up on the cliff. There is this humanoid creature with like his brown trench coat and a pair of jeans, and he has a green skin at the tail, and there's
Hmm.
a weird symbol on his forehead. So the masters look upon were looking upon this creature and were calling him down by his name, like they were saying "Stilk, Stilk, Stilk." I couldn't. I just felt it was the creature's name, so I
Hmm.
adapted it later. And so the creature jumps on them, and he starts slaughtering them one by one using his claws, his tail, and the more he uses his powers, the better the symbol of his forehead becomes. And so the symbol is so realistic, it's so full of action that I instantly woke up, kept notes, made my first sketches. Of course, since then the character has developed in appearance, and I went back to it in 2011. I added a character of Metal Tim, and then the final time. And since then, I'm working on the whole thing. That I went to these characters was in 2014, where I basically started doing the first issue. So the artwork of the first book is actually of the period 2014 2015, and
Hmm.
then as it progresses, people may see even more improvement on artwork, and a differences there. So that's the reason I started
Oh
it
yeah.
4 years ago, and yeah.
Wow. Well, that's great. So did you keep any of that original stuff, or have you since just moved on and just built off of it, or do you still have that original stuff as well?
I do have them, but not on this computer right
Oh
now.
no, that's okay. I'd
Yeah.
say hold on to that because people definitely like to see like the initial concepts like that. You know, if it's like 10 years from now, or whatever, depending on how big it gets, you never know. So it might be a nice little tail end to throw into like a hardcover of it or something.
Yeah, of course. That's why I have kept an archive of those. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's great. So does the name Stilk, that is that something translated from another language, or is that just a totally unique name that came up in your dream that you decided to use?
Yeah, I think that's how I thought about it. That I said, well, it fits a humanoid character because it's like it doesn't look like us, and
Hmm.
why it has to sound like that? That makes sense, or it's like an abbreviation from an English word. I just said, oh, okay, I'm gonna keep it. It doesn't mean anything basically,
Hmm.
probably. We'll
Yeah, I
see.
thought it was very unique because the first few initial times I read it, I just kept seeing it as Silk and Metal Tim, like just like oppositions, like soft and hard. And I was like, no, but it's Stilk, it's not Silk. So I was curious if there was some sort of underpinning in there or not.
Yeah.
That's cool though. So you said you've got other stuff in the works too. You said 6 other titles, is that right?
Yeah, and of course I don't know if I mentioned this during my narration. This story that I'm doing has a series of mysteries to be solved. So you will have its detective element in there too. It's
Hmm.
not gonna be just a simple gossip. Good guys fight the bad guys. It's gonna be
Sure.
full of surprises. Uh, and it's gonna have its depth, character development, which I love to see in a story.
Hmm.
You will have things of people discussing with each other, having their own inner dialogue times, all of this
Hmm.
inner conflict. Yeah, and the 6 titles. Yeah, I have 6 more titles that I wish to, to share, and so that people will be able to read them individually. There will be maybe some key elements in the form of characters, maybe as well, that will appear through all those books connecting them. And the
Hmm.
last series probably will be the climax where everything maybe comes together and explained. That's how I think about it.
Okay. Now, are all those projects you're going to work on them by yourself, or do you have other people to help you with those as well?
Well, as with the current project, I'm doing everything by myself, meaning doing the
Mhm.
writing, pencils, coloring, lettering, and I have a series of notes and sketches, and I do everything, and I enjoy it actually.
Mhm.
And for the series, where I do them one by one. I don't do them all together. I don't need help right now.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So you have a very unique style. Do you have some? Can you share with us your screen a couple of your pictures so the audience can see what your style looks like?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Uh, let's see. I will do the uh, okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
All right.
Let's see if.
I don't think I can do that due to the laptop, but I hopefully it will be big enough to view. So this is the logo of the title.
Mm-hmm.
And we went on and off with my editor for some time in order to end up with this. And in the end, I had like some, a few ideas that finalized it. Thanks to his help, we have this now. Uh, and this is the cover of the first issue.
Mm-hmm.
So here on the cover we see Stilk, his creator, Annabelle Darshall, Metal Tim, as he's ready to fight what is implied to be a series of monsters. And on the background we see the City of New Glory, basically. Um,
Now,
these are
are you coloring this with watercolors or what's your technique you're using?
yeah, I mostly use like color pencils and pastels, maybe very rarely some acrylics, and then I do a few, small electronic processing
Mm-hmm.
with whatever software limited knowledge I have.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's how I do it basically after I do the inks. Yeah.
Yeah. As I said before, the style is really unique and it stands out. It's not like your typical book. I think that the art is going to make an impact on the story in a way that the audiences are going to enjoy. And I know the first time I saw it, I knew that it was unique and it's going to be something that's I think it's going to stick around for a while because it's so interesting to look at. So I do applaud you and the techniques you are learning because it is attention grabbing. So. Thank you
Thank
so much for that.
you. Well, I mean, if it's recognizable, that's one big step for me as well.
Hmm.
Uh, so this is, again, I remind the book's artwork is from the 2014-2015 period, and the first like 5 or 6 pages of the second book is 2015, the rest is 2018 mostly. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so this is from the first book, these sample pages, color, okay, and inks here, you see?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you said your style gets even better as the issues progress. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, the editor says so as well. So
Well, that's good. I'll look forward to see your current skill level too. That'll be neat to see that as well.
I will show some pages here of my current work,
Okay.
just as an example. Yeah. Uh, I hope I'm not going too fast.
Oh, you're
Uh,
fine.
okay. So this is like from a few weeks ago. This is from the fourth book I'm working now. I have completed the three first issues.
Hmm.
So this is the pencil stage, and then I do some inking. This is from the third issue.
Hmm.
It's like the snapshots I do for Instagram. So
Oh yeah.
and, yeah, at my Facebook page. Yeah, on the description, you give a link to my Facebook album about the project. So this is constantly updated. The people there can see art info about the title all the time.
Yeah.
Uh,
If they look in the link, they'll see all that stuff you gave me earlier. So that's all in there, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, I want to make sure that they get to see it
Yeah.
full screen and all that good stuff, and they get a shot at looking at it for as long as they want, rather than just a couple seconds here and there.
Of course. And this is from the third book, so you can see how it looks when I color.
Oh
My
yeah.
pen. Uh, and Yeah, this is with color pencils too, for example.
Mm-hmm. Now, what color pencils are you using?
Mostly Faber-Castell, but maybe a few other brands from time to time. But Faber-Castell usually applies well if you have the
Mm-hmm.
right paper.
Nice.
Yeah, this is like one sample illustration where it shows the basic characters, basically. Annabelle, Darkseid, Metal Tim, Stilk, Edwin
Mm-hmm.
Best, and the monsters, the nightmares on the background.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, a black and white with two characters. This I did like a few, like last month probably. Yeah, last month it was. So you can see how I draw currently. This as well in
Mm-hmm.
October. This I did in 2017. I like that personally. I don't know. I think it came out
Mm-hmm.
really. Yeah, I like the tan brown paper.
Oh yeah.
When, yeah, and this is with Copic marker.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, did it back in May, and this I did in October as well. So this is a few things that I can show from my work here. Oh, the rest you can find, of course, or I can share even right now, whatever you would like on my Facebook album.
Mm-hmm.
And if you would let me, a few Comics Gate like artwork, just to show that I'm a fan of the titles there.
Yeah.
So here we have a Cyber Frog.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this was like for EVS for his birthday. He liked it,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I just use his his. Uh,
Was he eating a pie there?
yeah, he's eating a pie. He has a Tico doll. He has a Psycho poster. The screen behind him.
Uh-huh.
The trebuchet. All of those things he talks about. At the
Mm-hmm.
elbow.
Yep.
So yeah, and I had fun. And so it's like, okay, he uses a red rooster. I did during a live stream. I have a YouTube channel called KPR. You can find in the description.
Mm-hmm.
And there I give content for my comic. I do artwork and I take requests and commissions too. So people can feel free to check it out. KPR. You see the logo of the channel here on the screen. And this is, the first actually tribute I did for put all the characters together with a bull character down there. Your
Yes.
character.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I like the simplicity yet the powerful, like
Mm-hmm.
impact of the character. Sometimes things don't have to be complicated to be powerful. So I
Yep.
like the bull characters.
Thank you.
Uh, yeah, and so yeah, I don't know. Would you like me to stop screen sharing or show some things from my Facebook? I don't know.
Yeah, you can show some more stuff. Yeah, we're really here to spotlight you today. So go ahead, okay?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oops,
Keem
yeah,
says your art is really good, so he likes it.
thank you. And Dr. said that he likes the art of the book, and that's very encouraging when you hear it from someone like him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but, some people find it interesting, some others not so much, I suppose. But I
Yep.
hope I will just build my own audience in the end, and then hopefully I will learn even more people
Yep.
during the running of the series. So this is the album. This is the name here on the left of my Facebook artwork page. It's on the description too. So the album's name is this, Stilk Metal Tim 2018 till whenever it finishes. I calculate it will finish in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So here you can see illustrations, ads. I also have a trailer that I made for my comic on my KP Art channel. So feel free to check it out. I think it came out this weekend, and it has a really nice music track that I found free of copyright. I think.
You think?
Uh, no, I think with my sentence, it was a really good choice. The music I found
Mm-hmm.
there. Yeah. And
Yeah, they probably would have pulled it down if it had copyright issues already.
no, it's a free one. It's a free
Yeah.
one. Yeah. So. Uh, I did this recently too. You would like to see an artwork?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is like his one moment of the character's inner conflict.
Mm-hmm.
He has this conflict about because this character, doesn't know why he came in this world. Doesn't have any clue about himself. His only clue is his empathic relationship for his creator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, And so, yeah, you will have lots of character development mysteries as to how the Stilk is connected to these monsters and how these monsters are connected to his creator, Annabelle. And we will see the background of Timothy V. And the characters will have, even if they appear to have something in common, we will see them connecting to and how they can support each other as well. We will have many kinds of scenes. We will have lonely scenes, full of dramatic scenes, maybe some flashbacks, of tranquility, lots of action with naturally its proper degree of violence, so to speak, and you will not get bored. If you stick with me, you're into for a really good ride,
Mm-hmm.
exciting character. So yeah, I'm doing my best to give a real exciting content here. And of course, if people go and see the images, they will be informed fully from the text next to this image, to each image. So yeah, if they take some of their time, they will be fully informed about this project.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's I think what I can share so far. And actually, here on my Twitter account, which is ad Costas7911, I made this today because the book came out today, the first book. So.
And is it $4 or $5? I can't remember.
Oh, $3.99 the cover. As you see it mentions it there. Uh, and I can tell you the other prices too if you would like me to inform the people. It's $3.99 as a physical copy on Amazon. You can find it as an Amazon Kindle like ebook version, $2.39. DriveThruComics as a PDF is $1.99. Indie Planet, as I've seen from other examples, it's not there yet, but it will be next week. Print on demand is $5 usually. The digital download $1.99 as well. And then the publisher, if you go on their page, risingsuncomics.com, and search through the store category there, you will see their shipping rates on the bottom of the page. I think those prices for the shipping rates are for USA, but yeah, in the as you go to receive, as you're ready to pay for the physical copy, your card and all that, you can estimate the shipping. It gives you an option based on the place you live or the country you are. So
Yeah.
the shipping, yeah.
Now, is it shipping out of the U.S. or?
Yeah, they ship globally as well.
That's good.
Yeah. So I think I can stop the screen sharing.
So, how did you get hooked up with that publisher, if you don't mind me asking?
Excuse me?
How did you come to contact with that publisher? Like, did they see your work and want you to put a book out for them, or how did that work?
Well, I was sending my work. I was submitting my work from March 2017 till March 2018. Okay, and during that period, which is basically here, of course, I was publishing. No, I was submitting my work like in publishers, mostly independent ones, to the USA and Scotland, Ireland, New Zealand, England. You know, and I was getting. In some cases, I didn't get any answer. A few others said basically no, thank you. And then there were many that said that they had a positive answer. And some of them took their time to write long text as to elaborate why they think, which is really, I appreciate it. They took some of their precious times for me. And it's like, but they couldn't accept the new title due to in-house problems, either low sales on their books or they have already their expanded universe going on and other reasons like that. And then the last group of publishers I approached, they already started having a positive approach to my book, but the fastest one that reached me out within 2 days was Rising Sun Comics. And so after a few discussions, I signed my contract with them in April. And since then, I have completed the three books, the first three books, and now I'm working on the fourth one.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, for me personally, like that'd be very scary for me. Like you put yourself out there, you got your rejection letters and all that. I'm sure there was a bit of that was kind of tough too. But for me, I just circumvented all that, and I found I found a printer who could, you could self-publish as few as 25 copies of your book, so there's not really a lot financially to gamble on. So I got lucky when I found the company I did, because if I went the other route and tried to get it to publishers, I don't know how well I would have been able to handle that or not. So I do applaud you for putting your work out there and doing the hard work you've done to get it into our hands.
Thank you very much. And also, I was doing it a little solo at first as well. I was having the first book that didn't look as good as maybe it looks now, because
Mm-hmm.
we improved it in some ways right now, and it was up on a series of internet platforms.
Mm-hmm.
But I still wanted in my mind to have it published. For some reason, I just wanted to see a publisher's logo on my book's cover.
Of course.
Yeah, so it's like, and yeah, it's also a good experience because you are in contact with people. You learn more things about this business that you naturally don't know if you're out from it. I mean, I have learned things I didn't even know they would be useful to me
Mm-hmm.
regarding the dimensions of the image, the saturation, the resolution, and some the naming of the files in the archive. Before I send them to the publisher, then how the printer perceives all that, and all these technicalities that are really important in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned many things as well from my editor, who is also like a teacher. I mean, we have had sometimes Skype sessions where he teaches me things. It's like I have my own private Kubert lesson as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and his name, he has appeared in an interview some months ago on YouTube. His name is Hawk Sanders. He's a really knowledgeable, patient person, and I really appreciate him. And the rest of the team is a group of creative individuals passionate for the craft. They want the people to be happy for their books. So feel free to check the publisher, risingsuncomics.com, and they do accept submissions, by the way. So
Mm-hmm.
anybody who would like to see his book under a publisher's roof, yeah, consider this publisher a potential home to your work, you know. And if you would like me at some point, I can tell you, in a short, the story of the publisher too, for people to maybe.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
you could do that.
Oh, all right. Well, Rising Sun Comics started basically in 2008 from its founder, Jamar Miller. And actually, during that period, the only reason for this label was for Jamar to publish in book format for the fans, non-licensed Hasbro property-based books, mostly G.I. Joe, but also Action Man and many others you will see on the page. So it is still ongoing, actually. Before that, he had a blog that is still actually up there. It's called Blood for the Baron. So anyway, the people he built a fan page that said, "I'm gonna do this label to publish my stories in book format." And they have this division system that is called non-profit. They don't get any money out from this. They just make books for fans. The creators are fans themselves, and the money they get from the orders, they are used only for the transfer expenses. If there is any money left, it goes straight to the creators, who are mostly volunteers. And it's also a way to exercise themselves, like how to feel like to work for a publisher. So this is the first division called Rising Sun Non-Profit. Then we have the US line of PG-13 stories. Their most known titles is Armadillo Justice or Collapse, Fire Kill, Black Lotus, Henry the Gangtakerus Hamster, and you will see these things there on the page anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The people like those books. Then we have the published studios imprint through which my book comes out, and we have titles like Tag Team, The Seer, Quiet Man, Not Another Zombie Comic, and Mine.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the New Zealand that is called Oceania with its partner studio Plunt Studios that covers New Zealand and Australian audience. We have the most recent release, The Red Dot, and a few other old ones that are going to make a comeback right now. Then we have also Rising Sun Japan. That's about manga illustrated stories, but it's not yet. Didn't have a story like that out there. You can submit it that it will become instantly active.
Mhm.
They also have their own web comics you can read for free on the publisher's page, either all the ITO issues or a few other series that they have, like My Pet Ninja or a Henry like spin-off.
Mhm.
And that's the things I can tell because actually um, Jamar left to pursue other things. And he left the publisher in 2012 at the Hodge of Hawks Under. So since then, it actually operates as an actual publisher with its own creator-owned properties.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Nice. Well, I got some side questions here. First off, what were your big influences for your artwork, or do you have any favorite comic artists or anything like that?
yeah, sure. And it's not only about the artwork. It's like also the story, the types
Mhm.
of story I learned to love and appreciate. So it's like when I mention people I'm influenced from, I have in mind both art and story. It's mostly from America and Europe. And I have a few examples from Japan too, but from America, of course, I would say Mike Mignola, Dale Keown, Sam Keith, Alan Moore, Neil Gaiman, Wrightson, Kyle Hodge. These are very few examples. I have much more. I have me influence from Frank Miller a little as well.
Mhm.
Uh, James O'Barr. Um, from Europe, I would mention mostly Enki Bilal and Moebius and Alejandro Jodorowsky. From Japan, I like Osamu Tezuka and a few other creators whose name I can't recall now, but I know their creations. And Yeah, I take I learn from I can learn from different creators, even if their style is different from mine. I can always something visual to me. Um, so I could mention many names in the end, but that's
Yeah.
all right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough. I got to meet both Mike Mignola as well as Sam Keith, so those were some very neat experiences. So I don't know if you've met any of those guys before, but it's always neat to meet the artists, and those guys make some pretty unique looking stuff, you know. So I think you're in good company there.
Yeah, I have met Frank Miller so far
Oh,
last
you met
year.
Frank Miller?
Yeah, last
Oh, nice.
year we have this Comic Con taking place in my birth city, Thessaloniki, and I participated for the first time as a creator. I think it was like um, the third, fourth festival, and Frank Miller came last year there. Yes,
That's great.
yeah.
He's never ever come out to Seattle. He always does like New York and stuff like that. I think he lives out there, so fingers crossed. Hopefully one day he'll make it up here. But usually he always does like shows in New York, so I don't know.
Yeah, actually, because the mayor of Sparta declared him an honorable citizen
Hmm.
because he made part of his history known through a letter through the film.
Yep.
Yeah, and we also have taking place in Athens. So this year, December 1st and 2nd, we have Athens Con there, and guess what? We have people. The main guest, some of the main guests there is Mark Wade.
All
And,
right.
yeah, and James O'Barr too. So it's like, wow, okay. And they asked me, "Do you wanna go?" And then I started thinking and say, maybe not this time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You never know.
you never know where you're going. You're gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, all in
Well,
all, that's
all we can do is make comics we're proud of, and treat our fans the way we want to be treated. I don't know.
like the basics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you have any favorite superheroes or favorite comic books exactly?
Favorite titles?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, let's see. Let's make Americans right now. Okay, let's say I like a lot the Batman.
Hmm.
Okay, the first hero though I liked a lot was Superman, and then after these two I had Spider-Man,
Hmm.
and of course, later as I was growing up and learning the history of comics around the world, I have even more favorite books. But I don't know. I like Alan Moore titles a lot. He the way he handled Swamp Thing, for example, and all this character depth, it was amazing. The way he deals with the supernatural and the all cool stuff in books like Promethea, for example. Uh, and I like Neil Gaiman's Sandman and the spin-offs like The Maids and Konstantinos, all of those titles. And of course, I like Moebius' works. I don't know if you have seen his work. It is French, but his works gave me perspective mostly through Dark Horse.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just I like his books a lot. He passed away in 2012. This artist, so but yeah, that's
So,
another.
do you have any questions for me at all, Konstantinos?
Well, actually, I wanted to ask you about like, how come you came with the bull?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the bull is actually literally a childhood creation. I first made him up when I was 4 years old. Just with everything that was going on at that time. That was like 1989. That was like the time Ninja Turtles blew up, and Batman, the Tim Burton movie, had come out. So between those two things, I was really inspired. And so he was kind of a mixture on that with the whole animals, talking animals thing, and then just kind of the visual look of the Michael Keaton Batman, you know. And I always just I made like comics with like notebook paper in school and stuff, and it just anytime I had a free moment in class, I would be spending it drawing when I had completed all my assignments. And it was a character I always had with me, even though he was just simply called the Bull. Like I didn't care, like just because that's what I decided to call him when I was little. So I kept it and carried it all the way. And then like I was saying earlier, I've kicked around the idea of self-publishing for a long time. But anytime I would ever find any company to do the book, all of them be like, "Oh yeah, you can print your book, 250 copies for $500," and I don't have that type of money. So just last year, I was part of a group called The Hundreds, and it's a Facebook group. It's like 100 Days of Comics is what they're known for. Basically, you work on your comic for at least 30 minutes a day for 100 days straight. It's perfect for if you're someone like me who's got like kids and full-time job and family stuff and all that, so it's hard for you to kind of get away and work on your craft. So you're part of that, and then every day you post on the group, so you're accountable, and by the end of it, if you have a book, that's great. If not, you just keep going. So I did that, and then kind of around the time everyone's starting to do their fundraisers on Indiegogo, I said, well, I'm definitely supportive of this movement that's going on, so I will throw my hat into the ring. And I was able to find the publisher comicswellspring.com, and through them I'm able to print as few as 25 copies of my books for under $100. So there wasn't anything financially scary about putting my own book out. Even if I didn't raise all the funds, I would have still been able to self-publish my book. So that's what I was able to do.
That is because there are groups of individuals out there giving chance to aspiring creators, and so the main message is like, don't give up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think another creator who has the Indiegogo book Chromosome 96, Louis Michael, he's doing the same thing with 100. Yeah, so
yeah, there's been a few of them. I'm trying to remember the other guy. He had a really distinct style. I'm blanking on the name of his character though. It looks very Simon Beasley like. But I'm blanking.
London.
Which one?
Mike Anden.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I know visually the character, but I'm not familiar with the creator. But I know too, like I saw him doing some activity on there, and just like, oh, he is on this too. So, and then there's been a few other guys too. So I do know that there are a couple people from this movement who are on there working on their projects too. So it's kind of cool because you don't expect it initially, since we are kind of doing a unique thing. But I think the the bigger it gets, you know, the more creators and people will inspire, and we'll bump into more people with the same purpose, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's all part of the fun. I'm going to look at my chat here. Everyone just kind of greeting everyone here. We have William Reed is in here. He's a regular. We have Mango in here. And then we have Pewdie Jr. So these guys are pretty much all regulars who typically make it in the stream, and they're just kind of all saying, hey, real quick, I will briefly summarize. So we're with Konstantino here promoting his book, Stilk Metal Tim. You can find the link to buy the book below in the description, preferably at the end of the chat so you don't back out of it during the live stream. But it's a $4 book. You can buy it on Rising Sun Comics, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then there's other links too. There's a digital version you can get if you don't want to deal with shipping and all that. And he's got a really great, unique style, and I think you guys are really going to love it. So, yeah. And everyone is just continuing to greet each other and say, hey. Pewdie says that I'm going to be the next Stan Lee. I don't know about that, but, you know, it's nice to dream. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, he didn't have things going until his middle age. You know, at some point things started going very.
Oh yeah, yeah. He was doing it for even him, Jack too. Like they were both older when the explosion really started to happen. You know, they had been in comics for a while before we had all those amazing Marvel hits. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
I like that Kirby, by the way. I like right now I did such a mistake of not mentioning him. I love his creativity, you know, all these works that he created, especially titles like Eternals and New Gods.
Oh yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, I love this guy. His unique artwork that initially people didn't like, but then they started appreciating it. And of course, his ideas, you know, he had the influences of mythology from the Bible, but he made whole with all these beautiful geometric. You know, designs of his characters.
And you know, Kirby really, like, art was a full-time thing for them. Even like whenever they would go places, his wife would always drive because she said he was always just in his head thinking about stories. Like it's literally like what he thought about all the time was just creating, you know?
Yeah, I can feel so close to him. Yeah, unfortunately.
And then people made the comments too where they'd see him draw. He would literally just, you know, most people, they'll do the thumbnails and the blue pencils and all that. He would literally just like create a whole page blank and then just, you know, make an entire page from one corner to the other and be like, oh, I noticed you didn't erase a whole lot. And Kirby would always say, well, they're paying me to draw. They're not paying me to erase, you know? So
yeah.
He was just motivated by the creative process, you know?
Yeah. He's an amazing talent.
It really was. So, yeah. Do you have any more questions? You asked about the bull. Was there anything else you wanted to know about me?
Do you intend to continue the series? Because I saw this is the first issue, right?
Yeah, it's going to continue, and I might be able to share with you after this if I get your email and all that good stuff so you can see it, since the whole international thing's a bit more complicated than I would have hoped. But yeah, this is the first part, and the thing that was challenging with this is, you know how you have that image there of the bull, like the campaign, like the big climax of the story is the suit reveal. So having to market the first issue and keep like the costume a secret was really difficult to do. So I think the future campaigns will go a little easier, hopefully, once you have the image of the actual hero rather than the back of his head, which is, if you looked on my campaign, like that's the main image for the longest time was just the back of the head shot. So you don't, because the whole thing is it's a father and son story, and one of them becomes the hero by the end of it, but you don't know who it is. So that's the motivation for the whole book is to figure out who becomes the hero by the end of it. So,
yeah, but so beautiful. I like the mystery. This is a simple mystery, maybe, but it makes it so interesting. You know, really powerful.
And even as it goes, like if you're someone who just picks up off the street, you don't even know pretty much anything. I try to make the books in a way where you're motivated to turn the page with each page. You know, you want to find out what happens. So at the end of each page is almost it. You know, there's something about it that makes you want to continue to turn the pages. You know, so that's how I've structured it. And so if you're someone totally off the street, it's even more interesting than someone who already knows the premise. So.
Yeah, that's exactly the same mindset that I have. I mean, for example, in my series, each issue finishes in a way that you have to grab the next one to see what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's captivating. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see.
Do the good people here have any questions for any of us?
Yeah, let me look. Guys, do you have any questions? Everyone's just kind of greeting each other and enjoying our interview here. No one has anything yet.
Okay.
So, not yet.
I'm listening. I'm hearing the baby voice on the background.
Yeah, of course. They're always there. It's very difficult to film videos for an ASMR channel when you have children around the house constantly. I always have to wait until like after 10 before I film anything. And the past 3 nights I've accidentally fallen asleep in my daughter's bed with her. So I didn't get too many videos done this week, unfortunately.
Have you seen Mike Miller at his kids?
Oh, yeah. He does great. But his isn't a relaxation thing, though. So, see, I shot myself in the foot by theming my whole thing on being relaxing, though. So, his you tune in, you just expect chaos. You know, mine you want to unwind and relax. You know, so.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
Yeah, but you know, when you do this work, it's better to be maybe a little more isolated.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Whenever you're working, what do you think works best for you? Do you listen to music in the background? Do you have like a TV going, or are you totally silent? What works for you whenever you're drawing?
Oh yeah, I'm just listening to music.
Okay. Is there any specific song or any type of music you listen to?
Listen, most of the time it's like how do you call it? Alternative rock, maybe sometimes alternative metal, but
Okay.
mostly this. But sometimes I can maybe hear other types of music too, but mostly it's this.
Nice. You want to know a fun fact here? You know what Todd McFarlane listens to whenever he's doing his art and he's writing?
Yeah, please tell me.
He listens to "My Heart Will Go On" instrumental from Titanic on repeat. I'm not kidding you.
Okay.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
That is the complete opposite of Spawn in every single way. But that's what he uses to create the world of Spawn. He puts that song on a loop. I think that's the greatest thing ever. But he divulged that during one of his Facebook live streams like a year or so ago.
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, I can't imagine what him listening this while he was drawing the Billy Kincaid.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a few years before Titanic, so he would have had to listen to a different song before that.
Yeah, well.
But you know the whole thing with that too, like that issue, like his wife couldn't be his editor after that issue. Have you heard that story?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, you know the climax of the book where it shows like the guy in the ice cream truck with all the popsicle sticks like jammed him in and everything with the note on him that says "I made him scream and scream and scream" on there.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really brutal. And when that scene came to it in the books, his wife had edited. I think that was issue number 4 or 6. I can't remember. But once it got to that page, like she's like, I can't edit these books for you anymore. I'm sorry. Like, and she knows how Todd is. Like, that was kind of the thing that made him go off and do his own books, you know, because the last straw with Spider-Man is they edited out Spider-Man putting a beam through Juggernaut's eye to defeat him. I think it was an issue. I can't remember, but that was the whole thing. Like, they had changed his artwork where that didn't happen in the comic. He still hurts him in some way, but they didn't show the beam going through his eyeball, and that's what Todd wanted to communicate on the page. So right after that issue is when he walked out. So she knows how he is about his artistic vision and, you know, not being edited very heavily. So she stepped away as his editor after that.
Yeah, censorship thing. But after a point, especially since the Image Days, there are publishers like Avatar Press. They don't have any censorship at all.
Yeah.
If you have checked their titles, like some of their titles, I mean, they have really good stories in there, great artwork, but some of them can have both good stories and artwork, but they have no limits. They go everything, not only in when it comes to nudity, but to violence too. It's like, and I can feel it in my bone, even if it's just a page, you know. Yeah, so
and that's my whole thing with mine. I really wanted to go back to like the traditional roots of comics. So mine is actually all Comics Code Authority inspired, where it's very, very clean, where you can literally hand it off to anyone, whether it's a kid or an adult. But really being mindful for the kids, because sadly, like in this day and age, you can't even give a kid a Batman book anymore without having to worry about something that could mentally be disturbing to your child. So that was my motivator for me as my own kids, and wanting to be able to pass my book off to anyone and everyone, you know. So that's my whole thing. Even though it's very difficult to write and structure around that, there's even just little words like on the first page. I think initially there's something said where in my head I had it phrased where "my wife's going to kill me" was the initial phrase, but I had to change it to "my wife's going to be mad," because I felt that having "kill" in there was a little too extreme even for that. Even though that is a common phrase, it's not something that a little kid might want to hear. So, you know, even something as little as that, sanitizing that. So,
and yet you have read the titles like Hellboy and Spawn, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the only safe option, the way we put it right now, is to just give them old books. Decades.
Yeah, that's my whole thing. I was just really motivated to want to make something that you don't see often, which, you know, is you know, an all ages thing, and like the artwork definitely feels like it's for a younger audience too. But I mean, part of that is based on my own where I'm at developmentally with my artwork, but I think that it'll get more detailed and everything like that as I progress. But as it goes on and as I become a better artist, like it'll look and feel, you know, more like a I guess a more serious book or whatever, but it will still hold the same values where it is still safe for any age to read. So
yeah, and why not? I mean, this is something that we miss right now as well. The noble superhero, you know, behavior from the protagonist is like some light during all this gloom.
Yeah, it seems like right after the whole Dark Knight Frank Miller thing, everyone just really wanted to make all their heroes really play in that gray area, you know, and like that's a good story, and you know those stories are good and enjoyable, but it doesn't seem like there's enough where the heroes are optimistic, you know. So I felt that that was something that was missing, so that's why I made the hero I made.
Yeah, that's great. You shared this story with them, right?
Oh yeah. And the whole thing too, even as I was drawing it, my little 5-year-old girl, she could tell what was going on every single page without me explaining anything to her. So I think that was really good to have that feedback too, visually, you know, to have it simple enough where, you know, even my 5-year-old girl could look at it and get the story. I thought was great, you know.
Oh, that is really interesting, because if they can grasp the story instantly, it means you do a really good job for them. Yeah.
And I certainly tried.
And you do everything by hand, right?
Yes, and actually I did something strange too, is I actually used typically use an 11x17 board, but I just used comic backing boards for mine because all my pages I actually pencil everything with Prismacolors and stuff like that. And plus, too, since I was on that 100 days deadline and all that, I want to make sure that I got the project done in that time. So I figured I would just, you know, help work less time by having it be on the smaller pages. And, you know, I still kept in mind like about an inch on every side. You kind of had to make sure there wasn't anything important that would possibly be, you know, clipped from the printing process. But I did all the pages just on comic backing boards. So I thought that was really unique. So
yeah, of course. And since we talked about the all age thing, there are still books, by the way, that are for children. You know, like there are still safe options out there. You just have to look a little hard, maybe.
yeah, that's true. And I have seen a few of them as I've entering into this realm of the all ages stuff. I'm definitely looking in discovering more myself too as well. But you know, like I said, I want to make it be where it's more accessible and where the kids don't have to hunt for it. You know, and at the end of the day, I would love for this to be a household name. You know, ideally it would be on the same field with, you know, Ninja Turtles or Spider-Man or all that. And you know, if it happens, that's great. You know,
but I can tell you just to advertise a little that Rising Sun's title Armadillo Justice is like Ninja Turtle oriented. They're really fun for kids. They have alien language at some point during the page. This makes it really fun for kids to figure out stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be really fun for a young audience. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the nice thing too, is being able to branch out and discover more of these things, you know. But it's weird because, you know, they're like comics just aren't everywhere. Back in the day, you know, you used to be able to go into your gas station or your grocery store. You could go anywhere in any shop, and you could find that spinner rack, you know. But now they don't have that anymore, and now it's not just Marvel and DC, or you know, there was still maybe a handful then. There were still like Archie and Harvey comics and things like that, but it's definitely more of a chore trying to find comics, you know.
Yeah. So even comics now have become a little more adult, like I have seen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a safe option seems to be for certain, you know, Disney comics, translated in English. You have there from Boom Studios, I think, or no, maybe some other publisher, but yeah, and certainly, well, you can still find safe options, but Alterna as well is trying to spread the comics to many places, like you were saying. Yeah, it's nice. You go to a small store, if you see comics there. I mean, back in my childhood, even in my teenage years, and I think it's still ongoing in a way in Greece. You can find comics in many places, not only in bookstores, you know, or anything like that. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, so it's really just a matter of wondering the next way, really, to get it in as many hands as possible. I would imagine digital probably will be the way eventually, but you know, as a physical old school person who likes to collect comics by the hordes, you know, it's hard to acknowledge that. You know, I definitely love my print books, but if you want to get as many people as possible to read it, I would imagine that digital somehow in some way is going to be the way to do it. But I think it's trying to figure out how to do it in a way that's easy enough for everyone. Maybe, I don't know, but it's weird to think about that.
Yeah, I mean, there are many people who just currently like the digital version, but I think the physical should be always an option. And it connects you with the past, the great past for comics, for this form of art. It's something
Sean!
tangible.
Was that you cut out on me there, Konstantinos?
I would say that the physical copy option should be always there. I think because it connects you with the past. The great history of this form of art, of this craft. And something that you can, you know, you can pass on to the younger generation all the time and make it like so real because it's something tangible, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Keem says he is very inspired right now, so you've inspired someone. So congratulations.
I think we both did. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, we're right at the 8 o'clock mark. Did you have any closing comments at all, Konstantinos?
The only thing I have to say is, if any people would like to follow my work, check out this stream's description links that of my media. Stay tuned. I have lots of stuff to share with you and lots of exciting content, and you will not regret it if you stick with my stuff. Really, I'm telling you.
Yeah, and I second that. I think that you're well on your way to doing great things in this industry, in this community. I look forward to joining in your journey and getting a physical copy of your book in my hand. Once again, everyone, you're welcome. Thanks. Make sure to check out the links below to buy his book and follow him on Facebook, subscribe to his channel, do all that good stuff. I believe that they're doing the Drawn and Quartered fan edition on Clownfish's channel right now. I'm not sure, but that is where other Comicsgate fan artists go on and they all draw a certain subject. And at the end, everyone votes on their favorite one. I believe they're doing the Stan Lee tonight because the pros did Stan Lee the other night. So if you're following that community, check that out.
I will.
And everyone, thank you so much for being here with me. Konstantino, thank you so much for coming out. It's now 5 a.m. where you are. I can't believe that you were on here at 4 a.m. with me, but I'm so glad you did.
It's 6 a.m. right now, and thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. Well, you guys have a good day or night wherever you're at, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.